A child's mind is like a sponge, absorbing everything.
Middle-aged men who want to be teenage girls next.
So make it the right things with Pico. It turns TV into your kid's first computer and turns on the power of their imaginations. With Storybook software, turn the page and images come alive on TV. Kids learn numbers, music, reading,
E-O-G-Dog,
and more. Most kids spend 3 hours a day glued to TV. Pico makes it a smart 3 hour.
The Sega Pico was an edutainment console released by Sega. It, by the way, is basically just a Sega Genesis, but manufactured to be with a kind of a keyboard thing. You've seen stuff like this in later incarnations, especially in the early 2000s with Leapfrog and Leapster, whatever you call it. And so this stuff of hardware has been around for a while. However, in America, this thing bombed, probably because the commercial was terrible. Instead of just showcasing what it's actually aimed for, it just tries to be edgy at the same time, and weird sayings about that are kind of dated in today's thing, that awful ad. Anyway, 2 Sonic games released, and we're looking at one of them. Both of them were released in 1994, however, one was released later in America due to censorship. And unfortunately, even though this is basically Sega Genesis, it actually is hard to emulate because no one cares about the Pico enough, even though, because in America, it only lasted from 94 to 98. In Japan, it actually did not too bad, lasting from 93 to 2005. It's an interesting console, but overall, it's kind of forgettable at the same time. Basically, why would you need this if you can just basically do the same thing with a computer? And that's what most people thought, I guess. Sonic the Hedgehog Gameworld released August 94 in Japan and October 96 in America. It was a very interesting game. However, I'm going to use someone else's footage. There'll link in the description because this is my footage and I could not get this game to do anything, basically. I didn't have the exact problem with the other Pico game, but for some reason on the emulator I can barely get it to do what I want to do. Most likely due to the fact its unique controls is kind of hard to translate, and they don't really have a good way of doing it on the on the Fusion emulator. There's no Pico emulator from what I'm sure, because like I said, these things are only on Genesis ROMs. Essentially, I gotta get this mouse cursor up here and try to use their mouse thing to do it. There's of course a multiplayer. It's pretty easy. I choose easy, and no matter what character I do, basically from there I can't select a game because I'm assuming I do something I'm not too sure about. Now the regular buttons in your Genesis controller will change some certain things, but here I couldn't get them to do anything, so I'm going to use different footage here. The user Matubulus Blackness, I think, I'm not sure, link will be in the description. Thank you for giving footage of actually showcasing what the game looks like in person. You can see the cartridge for the game is giant because most of them came with a book, and basically their footage is going to help me showcase what this game's about. Because I can't really play it, I'm not going to rank it, though I'm going to rank the other Pico game, which will be coming out the next day, or whatever day it comes out. You have the option of choosing between Sonic, Amy, and Tails on what games you like to play. And this is why I couldn't do anything. There is no options for these book turning, at least what I can find. And yeah, so you have to click on the book, but I had no option to do that in real life, which is unfortunate. Anyway, most of the time you're just playing different games. Like here, this is a race. Pretty easy. Car race, and you just press a button. Very exciting. The tree climb game, you just mash the button to climb up a tree. If you couldn't tell, these games aren't really great, and they also aren't really stimulating either for a kid. You just smash it and see who gets the highest point. Yeah, very, very exciting. The next game is Hoops, which is a basketball, and you gotta press the button to aim it into the basketball. I don't know why this even was released on the Pico, because there's nothing really edutainment about it. But whatever, you're not really using the mouse to do anything interesting, and you're just pressing the one giant red button to throw basketballs in the hoops. Looks like the guy here is having a little bit of trouble doing it. So you get to the next set of games, you gotta flip the page, and that's basically all you do. So that's how you select the games, is for the actual book itself, interactive book. And I don't know if the book even has anything on it. We'll be looking at the book a little later, but at this point, we just have flag game here. Eggman raises the flag, and you copy it based off your buttons. Really, really easy. Keep in mind, the player here is playing on the hard difficulty, and you can probably tell there's nothing really hard about any of these games. Well, except for this basketball game. This game looks really annoying. The next game is Toy Drop. Here, it's a claw machine, and it looks like you gotta pick up whatever character you want. It looks like a UFO claw machine, strictly out of Japan. Kind of reminds me of those Sonic blushes I mentioned in the first ever Sonic video I did here. Not the first ever Sonic video on the channel, the first Sonic in my game retrospective. And oh my god, this has been going on for a while now, hasn't it? And we're still in. We've only been in for 4 years, technically speaking. There's a lot of Sonic games you couldn't tell. Imagine if I did Mario. Oh my god, that would be forever. Robotnik Bop is one of the best games because you get to hit Eggman with a hammer. Or Robotnik in this case, you gotta hit him with your mallet. Quite a great idea for a game. I always wanted to hit that Egghead in the face. And then you gotta flip the page, get to the next area for the next set of games, which is Egg Switch. What is Egg Switch about? Well, Eggman is gonna switch up eggs. You gotta find which one's right. You've seen this minigame a million times in a million different games, so I don't have to go through what's going on here. Concentration is the next one, which is just memory game. Like I said, if you don't know what these games are, then I don't know. I must have not played a lot of card games or something. I don't know what else to say. The next game is Sonic vs. Dr. Robotnik. And what is even going on here? Well, it looks like you just gotta make sure you land on a Sonic head, and Sonic is attacking Eggman. And if you land on Robotnik or Ring, I guess it does something different. Wow. Very exciting, and that's it. You just gotta hope you land on the good rolls and you don't get hit by Eggman. And the last scene is the rooftop, where Eggman's showing Chaos Emerald, and I guess Sonic doesn't care that he's just standing there, and Tails looks concerned, Amy's too busy holding her own Chaos Emerald, and yeah, that's about it. Here we gotta find the Chaos Emerald on the roof, and looks like Eggman might get them, but yeah, basically that's all you do here. And one thing I gotta know about this game is that there is voice acting. I can't find out who the voice actors are, but yeah, this is the first time Sonic's got English voice acting in a video game, and it sounds kind of I'll let you be the judge of that.
What shall we play?
Once the end roof battle game is over, you get to see a slideshow of all the characters. Like I said, playing as Tails and Amy doesn't really change much, other than they'll just say something at you, basically. And they have their own voice actors, but not really noteworthy, because like I said, they don't only appear in this one game, they're not really interesting, they can barely say anything, and then we get to see all the animal friends from Sonic 1. There is one cool feature. At the end of the book, we have a drawing minigame. Basically, we can draw templates and stuff of Sonic characters. And they drew Sonichu, of course. You can't make this up. They immediately go to the drawing minigame and draw Sonichu. They even gave him a heterochromia, which is not something that Sonichu actually has, but you know, whatever. I'm not going to talk about Sonichu. This is Sonic, alright? We're not getting that weird rabbit hole stuff about this character. There is differences between the Japanese and American one. For example, Japanese has things like roulette and I think a casino game, background stuff. Basically anything like that was removed. There's a couple other differences, different little backgrounds. The buttons will match the Japanese version of the Pico, which actually has different colors, and that's about it. There's just a different, like, whole gambling game. Of course, that got removed because this is supposed to be educational, and during the minigame where you're fighting Robotnik, you actually punch each other in the face or just throw rings at each other, because that's too violent or something. Second Hedgehog Gameworld is a pretty obscure game. In fact, I've never seen anyone really play this game before. And it's not really that noteworthy. I think the drawing mechanic is actually probably the most interesting thing about it. The games are pretty basic and overall not too stimulating, even for a young kid's mind. And I've compared to other edutainment-style games, this one really isn't worth noteworthy. And since it's never been reported, you can only play it on your Sega Pico, which is not an easy console to get your hands on. I've never seen one in my life. In that case, it's 75 loose, 125 complete. And I don't know what that means. The game, I think the book's attached to the game itself, so you don't have to worry about that. But the complete price, it's expensive. And to really play this game, you have to buy a Pico, which is $50. Not terrible, but overall, it's not. You have to really actually buy this online, so you're probably paying the highest price because you're not gonna find this out in the wild at a game store. They're not gonna have that. So this is one of those things you have to buy in online, so you're paying a more high price. So add that to the price already, you're paying over $100 for just playing one basic edutainment Sonic game. It's not really worth it, is it? Since I can't rate this game because I didn't play it, technically speaking, well, I would rate F tier if I could, because that's how much gameplay I got out of it. I'm going to showcase the book pages instead. So here's page 1. We got Sonic, Amy, and Tails in this kind of arcade with looks like skee ball, some basketball, and all the animal buddies just chillaxing. The second page has more of the carnival here. Sonic beating up Eggman heads. Amy, of course, likes a love tester. Tails is doing whatever. The picky pig is not happy. And the, I think, what's the walrus's name? Rocky Walrus is playing the claw machine. And Eggman's just like taunting us in the background. And the Ricky the Squirrel, just giving us a really weird side eye. Page 3 has us more into Eggman's laboratory, or what do we call it? Laboratory. Laboratory. What did I say? Laboratory. I don't even know. I can't even speak right now. It's basically just Eggman's like, ah, and Eggman's like, yeah, look at my great stuff. And Sonic's like, damn, this guy's a loser. Page 4 looks pretty much exactly how it does in the actual game. That's one that features all the Sega Pico. If you didn't see in the ad, look at it. It copies what it looks like on the page. Isn't that exciting? Not really. The last page here, which is exclusive to America, has Sonic laughing, which is a stolen artwork pose, and just a bunch of random stuff like Amy getting sucked into Vortex, and Tails looking at a weird mirror, and Flucky pinning on Sonic. And that's it. That's all that Sonic the Hedgehog's Gameworld has to offer. Maybe one day I'll have it in my collection. Probably not anytime soon, but it'll be neat. Bye-bye.